and a knowledgeable discourse on human well-being and climate change. The major strands of human well-being thoughts are hedonic, well-being which is refers to as happiness, and eudaimonic well-being, which is referred to as human needs, capabilities, and the multidimensional poverty. Aspects of each of these are very well incorporated in our sustainable development goals. But the major question is how to install all these facets within the challenges of climate change. What are the choice of actions to be addressed with equity, just transition, resilience, and adaptation? We are here today to explore and define mitigation strategies with human well-being as the key point. Secondly, to conceptualize the socio-technical provisions that can convert the biophysical resources into a well-being outcome. And thirdly, to understand the psychological impact due to the threat of climate change. Thank you all for being on this program, and off to Zunaid Menon, the CEO and Director of ARDEAF Foundation. Yes, Zunaid.
Thank you so much, Kanchan, for introducing this show. Hello, Eartherian, and hello, all the guests here who has removed little time from their busy schedule and here to talk with us. The idea behind this whole weekly discussions with the people like you was to get more clarity or more, I wouldn't say, knowledge, idea to conduct the kind of programs we have designed for next 25 years. Not too many people would plan like that, because India, we have not that we I'm extremely sorry, there was some call in between and I think I'm not audible. Am I audible? Can you say yes, no?
Yes, I can hear you, Zunaid.
So the kind of programs we're planning for that, we need a lot of inputs and support from very walks of life who can guide us, who can give us some new directions. We have a umbrella program called 11 Days for Earth's Healing. Definitely, while a part of our discussion, we will take little information about it so we can have a very fruitful discussion on that. And we have a certain programs after that, under umbrella program, something called Buzz and Chirp, Eartherian Rights, Ecological Corridor. There are multiple other programs under that one thing, which is keep going on, which will be keep happening. At this moment, I will not take so much of time in introducing the show. I would rather start hearing from the guests. I'll go over to Kanchan. Kanchan, you can start introducing the other guest on the panel, and let's have the discussion.
Thank you, Zunaid. Hi, Naveen. Are you there? Vinod Kumari is a senior HR professional with over 20 years of experience in financial industry. Currently heads up HR functions for a large US multinational bank based out of their regional headquarters at Hong Kong. Yes, Naveen. Off to Naveen.
One sec. So sorry, Naveen, you'll have to start now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. First of all, delighted to be here, and actually really honored to be connected to a forum like yours on a subject which is very dear to my heart. And I think all of us, right, we clearly understand how valuable it is for us to be talking about it, discussing amongst ourselves before we come up to certain conclusions and react to the various impetus that we see around us. Thank you also for the introduction. I do want to caveat that everything or anything that I say today is solely my own personal opinions and do not reflect in any way or shape my current organization's view. Even though a lot of my experience does get shaped by the industry that I work in, and so my personal capacity has very limited to do with my views. Of course, as a personal individual who works with human resources and people in general and workforce, um, a lot of these subjects do connect and eventually lead us to think very hard about the impact that we are seeing on the demographics and the future of the workforce. So I certainly can't call myself an expert on the matters of climate. But if you think through very deeply, and something which came in the prelogue, a lot of what we see, the impact of our environment does shape the society at large. And the variations that the climate has begun to cause is beginning to change the industry in general. Let me just take an example of the financial industry. The regulators expect a lot more responsible behavior from us. Most of the banks, or whether it's the NBFCs, they want responsibility from a funding and corporatization. I mean, as you know, finance industry eventually is the lifeline to the economy, and how we shape the organization around us has to be socially responsible. So, as an example, many banks have now decided that they would not be lending to corporates or industries which create pollution or damage environment. And so, therefore, very gradually, there has been a movement across the industry to kind of shun the financial support to toxic or toxin producing industries, and there are many we all know. And likewise, there is also a responsibility to go green, which means on the contrary side, we need to go and find out startups. We need to explore opportunities and support, perhaps sometimes even to the detriment of our own profit, but for the benefit of the society at large, to come in and support companies which will help the environment go green, and so on and so forth. So that itself is a subject that we can talk at length on. But again, I need to connect it, and my mind works from an HR professional perspective, and I started thinking, along with a lot of my fraternity brothers and sisters in HR world, who have been talking a lot about the future of workforce. I think all of us have been discussing what would the industry look like, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years henceforth. Especially if you are a parent, you always think about your children and you want them to groom and develop skills which will be marketable in the future. That's very common discussion in households. Whether your children are going to study engineering or medical or what branch out, you always start thinking about what skills will be valued, what are the skills which will get redundant. And so if you connect these two thoughts, right, hold the thought of we trying to groom an economy and looking after our children, or perhaps our own selves, if we have a runway in our career for the next 15, 20 years, then we are very worried about how do we create a marketability for ourselves. And then on the other side, you look at what's happening in an evolving industry where digitization is obviously forcing us to think in a very different way. Climate is forcing agriculture to think in a certain way. There are consumer habits which are either creating an impact which is adverse to the environment, or perhaps there is another set of industry which is going to negate it, which is trying to negate all the adverse impact that's coming up. So technology in general is trying to support that venture. It is trying to support and bring in a much more cleaner environment. The fact that we are meeting on this platform today without any travel involved, I think we've done a little bit of our our contribution to preserve the environment and create less or release less toxins in the environment. But if you then extrapolate this, there is a huge amount of industrial impact of technology which is helping. But then there is also technology such as crypto world, the entire crypto world. By the sound of it,
Navin, I will stop you here for a minute, because
sure.
this will also lead to other discussion, and I wanted other panelists also to be introduced here in one go. So then we all can have a discussion on the same topic instead of just putting one point.
Yeah,
It will give
absolutely.
us a
Completely up to you.
Kanchan, if I can introduce all the guests in one go, we'll pull all of them, and then we can have the detailed discussion. But this crypto thing is a very interesting thing. We must talk about this.
Hold that thought. We need to discuss that.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Kanchan, your mic.
Hi, Vinod.
Kanchan, introduce
Vinod
everybody
Kumari.
and we start pulling it one after the other.
Vinod Kumari is an IT professional for 17 years who turned into a wellness consultant. She decided to take forward neuropathy as a movement and awareness raising initiative. She is a certified mind trainer motivated to enhance the lives of the people. And the next speaker is hi Vinod. And next is Menaka Bharathi. She's the owner of Sim Organics. She's an organic lifestyle enthusiast and a producer herself. She has initiated Simple Indian Mom to cater to the nutritional habits and needs of the people. Hi, Menaka.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yes. So we'll start. Naveen, you can carry on with your. Hi, Naveen.
Thank you. And so I might just recap very, very quickly, and then we can come to the core of the subject. I'm very interested to see what others have to speak, and clearly they are experts in their fields. So I think I paused when we were talking about cryptocurrency, which creates a massive amount of pollution. It's just so detrimental to the environment. Not sure how many of you know, mining one single Bitcoin, just one single Bitcoin, can actually take as much power, which will which can keep your television on for 96 years. Imagine a television of today, which obviously consumes a lot of power already. It can be powered on for 96 years, and that's the power it takes to mine one single Bitcoin. You can just imagine the plethora of what's going on. Some of these servers can bring the city down, or sometimes states down, and that happens very frequently nowadays. So there is a dichotomy that's happening. But coming back to the core of the issue, these new skills which are required to sustain and thrive in a new world economy are very different from what mankind overall has been sustaining for centuries. And so there are skills which are getting redundant. There are skills which are getting priced in, and therefore the way that we see from a workforce perspective, that the shortage of talent on niche areas, which will be the sought after skills, is going to widen, and the ones which are left behind, the scalable skills, will certainly not be priced. Their jobs can be automated. And this divide in the society between extremely highly compensated, highly rewarded professionals versus those who are unable to keep pace with it, purely because of the rapid change in how the industry has shaped. I mean, look at the last 10 years, the kind of industries which have evolved right in front of our eyes. That is going to create immense amount of stress in the society. So when you see the divide, there are people who have a lot and those who have nothing. And those who have a lot also have a lot of burden on their shoulders to carry this economy forward. And they will be lifting the weight of a lot of other communities. And those who do not, obviously, would be struggling to make ends meet, And this divide in the society is not only going to cause mental wellness issues, but also other social issues. And that's where I wanted to draw the attention from a corporate perspective. How well versed are we with the issue? How do we think about ways and tactics to tackle what we are going to see in the future? Perhaps already beginning to see that. That's something that I can opine on. But I'll take a pause and back to you, Kanchan.
Yeah, thank you. So we can start with Menaka. Menaka, yes. Kindly share your perspective.
Yes, sure. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. And Kanchan and Naveen, I really enjoyed your, perspective. And Naveen, yes, uh, the thought that one Bitcoin will be running your TV for 96 years actually astonishes me. It's such a great thing that, it really makes things what do you say to atomic values, I would say. So today, hello everybody, I am Dr. Menaka Bharathi, and today I am here to speak about climate change and human wellness. I am basically a microbiologist, agricultural microbiologist, and human wellness is my thing in the heart. It is increasingly evident that climate change has an impact on human health and wellness. For example, if you've seen in 2003 in Europe, there were 70,000 deaths, especially the elderly, who were reported to be dead just because of heat waves. That was in 2003. In the recent years, like from 2002 past 5 years, you can see in every developing country almost 60,000 deaths per year due to change in climate, just because of extreme climate weathers or weather condition. I'm sorry. This is almost three times that when compared to the 1960s. This was not the case in the 1960s. It is a very recent development, and what we are doing is actually resulting this. This extreme weather condition is actually directly related to many illnesses. Many illnesses, I would say. And today, because me being an agriculturist, speaking on health is something which connects agriculture, food production, and your wellness. In fact, our COVID-19 situation, the past 2 years, all of us have gone through that, and that has brought us close to the importance of interlinking between human health and the state of environment. I think all of us were sitting at home and thinking what we have done to the environment, what we have done to our coexisting beings, and what has resulted. So, in fact, see the immediate and measurable effects of climate change we can see. That is, the measurable ones are the sea level rise in the sea level, extreme weather events which we have been seeing on the TV and we have never, worried about looking into it. The altered rainfall patterns, which even in Chhattisgarh I can see. I mean, the winter conditions this year has been a paranomic difference from what it was last year. I think all of you will, accept it and side with me when I say there is a difference from last year to this year.
Doctor, can I ask a question which could be a layman question?
Please.
A very layman question, because see, whenever we talk about technology, climate change, and global warming, for a
Yes.
layman, that words are too big words to understand and decode. Now this year, like I'm sitting in Bombay, and we saw extreme cold weather, which we never seen in last 40-50 years. At least in my lifetime, I have not seen such a cold weather which we got today, this year. Having said that, at the same time, we are also talking about the Earth is going warmer, the temperature is rising, and because of that, there could be a possibility of the glaciers melting and the water level rising and all. But now suddenly, if you're seeing this kind of a cold weather, is it positive sign or a negative sign? If you
It is a
have
very
to,
negative side. It is a
huh?
very negative side because the colder you go, your summer is going to become very hot.
It's going to be worst.
It is going to be worst. In
Yeah, but
fact,
why
in
this? Because
2030,
whoever
they're
is watching this show
expecting.
right now, for them also to understand that, okay, fine, the weather has gone colder for you. That doesn't mean that temperature is going down. This could lead to a larger problem. Is that what you're saying? Correct?
Exactly, exactly. I'm
Sure.
telling it is the same thing. So I was telling the immediate measurable effects of our climate change. We were telling, I was actually explaining about the sea level rise, extreme weather conditions, which you had a doubt about, and an altered rainfall pattern, which we all know. And the floods in recent years, I think they will vouch for us. Spread of climate sensitive diseases, especially malaria, because the vectors, they get activated suddenly because of the temperature difference. And air pollution, I don't think I have to explain anything to you all because it is,
That we face on our face
yes,
every day.
yes, yes, it is something which everybody has come across these days. So climate sensitive health risks, especially, I actually want to emphasize on Chhattisgarh. In Chhattisgarh, and it is worldwide, this is a worldwide condition, worldwide scenario, is malaria, diarrhea, which I think none of us would have even imagined diarrhea will be related to the climate, but it is related to the climate, change in the climate. Malnutrition and heat stress. Heat stress, of course, I think people in Chhattisgarh would just know what loo is. I don't know how you all feel about loo, but summers and loo is very common in Chhattisgarh, and it has
I'm born
become.
in Chhattisgarh, so I can
Yes, then
vouch
you
for it.
must have known, Mr. Junaid, you must
I
have
live in
known.
Bombay now, but
Yes,
I was born in
and
Chhattisgarh,
you
so
know
I've
what
experienced that.
loo is? So when I from Tamil Nadu, when I came to Chhattisgarh, and when my people told here ki loo lag gayi, I couldn't understand what it was. But now I'm able to understand because that is the way the climate has changed, and these days loo has become very common. Summer and loo are very interconnected.
Now,
I
since
think
you
you
brought
must
that topic, doctor, I just on this is off the topic question right now. We used to use onion during the
yes.
loo time, and they asked us to keep it here, and in your and आपको लू नहीं लगेगी. I don't know what was the scientific reason behind it, but as a child, I remember doing that.
Yes, yes. Actually, the onion has sulfur in it. It acts as an antimicrobial, it has an antimicrobial activity. Also, it reduces your body temperature.
Oh.
It immediately reduces your body temperature, not alone in your, armpit. You also keep it under your feet. It,
Yeah,
yes,
I've forgotten that, but suddenly when you brought this topic, I suddenly remember
yes,
as a
yes. No,
kid,
it is an immediate release
mom used to give us a onion to carry with us.
yes, to reduce the body temperature.
Oh,
So the overall
Kajan, you can
health,
continue. Sorry.
yes, yes, please. The overall health effects of a changing climate are overwhelmingly, negative, because we've seen Mr. Naveen has spoken so much about the negative effects and the financial impacts of it. So I'm on the health factors of that. Climate changes increases our vulnerability to threat of health and well-being. Our air quality, extreme weather events, which we already have discussed, health, heat stress, water quality and quantity, which I think all of us will say yes to. Food security and safety, I think I can speak for hours together on food security and safety when it comes to climate change. And the vector distribution and ecology. All this is very, very related and it makes us vulnerable to the climate change.
Dr. Menka, we'll have a discussion on food security for sure. A little
Yes.
about organic food also in the next visit.
Yes.
Let's get Kanchan, let's introduce Vinod and we can take it forward. Yeah.
Yeah, after you, Vinod, I have already introduced you. You can move on and just share your experience and expertise.
Thank you, Kanchan. Thank you, Zunaid, Naveen, and Dr. Menaka. It was lovely hearing you. So as Kanchan said that, I've worked in IT industry. I was not linked to health industry earlier. Worked with IT industry and especially in software industry for around 17 years. And I landed up, going into detail of the wellness industry because of my own health journey, and which I transformed my health with nature cure, using natural methods, going very close to nature. So all those things helped me in getting to a healthy state. So that's where I came into this area. So had I been talking, 7, 8 years ago, I would have been talking probably in very different terms, and my parameters would have been very different for this discussion. But during my whole journey of last 7 years into wellness, holistic wellness, spirituality, I think my whole perspective has changed. The way I look at the human being, the human health, and the environment. So for example, if I just talk about my own transformation, so being a completely, in IT industry, high on consumerism, you earn more and you have the full rights to exploit the nature or spend the way you want, how much, whatever you can afford to, so usually people behave in that fashion. Whereas after this journey, it's the today's realization is that I am not different from the environment. So these are not two different things, me and the environment.
So sorry
And that
to
is what.
interrupt. I'm very sorry to interrupt. We know that really, my topic, like when it was extended, I wanted to speak about the health inequality and the climate change. How much you give to the environment and how much you get back. But finally, when you get back, then you realize what we have done. I'm really sorry to
Exactly.
go ahead.
Exactly. So I was talking about that realization only. That's why I'm saying that my pitch will be a little different. So if I talk about, typically the wellness of human being or the health industry today, I think it is the biggest challenge of the current century, for the governments, for the organization, the way health industry is going. And if you look at the numbers, every year the spend on health industry is going high for every country. If I just look at US, it is said that US healthcare spend grew 9.7% in 2020, and it is amounting to $4.1 trillion. So which is huge. So these numbers are telling us where we are heading, as far as human health is going, right? WHO is saying that between 2030 and 50, climate change is expected to cause approximately 250,000 additional deaths just because of the climate change per year. So it is something which is very alarming, because eventually, whatever we are doing on this planet, in terms of development, education, this, that, for whom are we doing? We are actually, the baseline is we are doing for the betterment of human being or the living creatures or for the whole planet. That should be the whole objective. So I will not talk about, how what are the causes of the climate change. I think that has been discussed a lot. I'm just going to relate the specific components with the health. So if we talk about a human health, what are the 3 or 4 top pillars which makes a person healthy? So the first is clean air. The second is nutritious water. Third is healthy food. And fourth, of course, we talk about the environment, which contributes to stress. So if I talk about the air part first, what is air? This is the basis of our life. We are alive because we are inhaling and we are exhaling. The moment you stop this process, you're gone, right? So it is as important or as crucial for us to have a clean air, because the air which we inhale, it eventually how it impacts our body, because the oxygen is the thing which is going inside our body, it's going into the digestive system, and it is helping in absorbing the food in the right way. So even if I'm eating the best of the food, which some of us can afford, getting organic food or healthy food or natural food, but eventually if we are living in a place which is not giving us the right air, probably my bodies will not be able to digest it properly, and will not be able to give the nutrition which I should be getting from the food which I'm eating. So this is the first important, and it is impacting your digestive system also. So your respiratory system and digestive system are, working hand in hand to make you healthy. And so I live in Gurgaon, which is a metro city, and since I was running a health center also, and have seen so many children, school-going children aged between 8 to then 15, 16 years, facing asthmatic issues. Bronchitis is such a common problem in metro cities. If you talk about every second child or third child,
it's very common.
Yes, and frankly speaking, I felt really bad looking at those children who wants to play, but they cannot play because they can't run. And if I look, yeah.
Sorry. Well, we all agree to what you're saying. Our basic agenda of this discussion is we all have to collectively come with some thought and idea that the problem has happened. We have already destroyed the whole system, and it's already now how to get out of it. See, maybe not in our lifetimes. All of us, maybe we are a 40, 50 plus. In our lifetime, we might not see that. But what we can do now, which can actually lead to the next generation, they can lead better life, and they do not need to suffer what we're suffering, or the kids we're talking about are suffering. So our basic agenda of this whole discussion is the ideas, different ideas, and the ideas which can be executed by the individuals, and not expect the government to do a larger or mega program, or only corporate to do the program. It will not happen. It's not started. Because every corporate or every government will see either politically or from the business perspective. As Naveen rightly said, I'm shocked in my shock right now. I didn't even know that mining one cryptocurrency takes so much of energy. And it's a shocking information. I will definitely have a maybe separate whole discussion on that topic. But right now, in our own spaces, like your expertise, Menka's expertise, Naveen's expertise, we all need to do our own bits. What all those small movement and initiatives we can take in our daily life to reverse the impact of this climate change, that would be more important for all of us to discuss today. Yeah. I'm sorry I had to cut you off, because what happens? People put off. When they're watching the show, they suddenly put off. I know all this. I don't want to know more. You got the point. It becomes for them. It becomes I don't want to know about this.
So let's directly, as I said, 3 pillars. So rather than going into the details of these pillars, how it is impacting the health, we will assume that people understand how it is impacting our body. However, everybody must understand the importance of these 3 parameters. Basic. Now, coming to if we talk about the solution, what we can do as human being, I think I can put only 2-3 things. The first and the foremost change in behavior which we have to drive is conscious living. As you said, no government is going to do it, no rule is going to do it, no enforcement can help it. It has to come from the person, and that's where we talk about this term conscious living, which means that every action which I do in my day-to-day life, if I'm a housewife, if I'm a student, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm an HR person, every time when I think or when I live, I have to think very consciously, saying that, me and environment are not different. So, for example, when Naveen was talking about the corporates, and typically, any impact a corporate talks about, they talk about how it is impacting the company revenue, how it is impacting their employee. These are the things. Now, how often do we talk about,
I'd like to interrupt here. Yeah. Actually, what we are talking about is wellness. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to either agriculture sector or it goes to corporate sector, but if it is affecting the employee or the labor market or the labor sector in itself, it is having an impact on the wellness, because we actually tend to forget the people factor. What is that people factor?
Exactly.
If there's a change in technology, if there's a change in the way you are working, you had been working for a long time. Just as when we move out from one job to the other, you find it difficult. You have a psychological problem adjusting with the situation. In the same way, even the financial sector is having that same stress because they are shifting from one type of problem to the other. Same goes with the industrial sector also. Even if they are applying using, now you are using solar panels, okay, but then upskilling is needed for that employees, how to use that, because before people were not using that. Now you have started installing that, so the employee level is different. So we need a certain level of empowerment, a certain level of upskilling, so that they are able to adjust and they do not face any sort of a psychological problem besides the physical. And I'm not talking about those problems, but the mental health, which cannot be excluded. Even if there is a shift in the financial sector or is it in the agriculture sector. I remember somebody was there from Chhattisgarh and they said that they have introduced organic farming, you know, and to the small holding farmers. Later on, the farmers started using one plot of the land just to grow not organic food, just to grow the plants which can produce more, by using fertilizers.
I would
That,
actually interrupt here.
wait,
Where it's
I'll just
not like they will have a small plot for themselves where they will grow organic food for consumption, and they will have the other whole plot for selling out.
For
selling
selling.
it out.
True,
It
true.
is not like,
See,
it's
no,
not the other way.
what I wanted to say here was that uh, this initiative was taken, okay, but what the problem is that we do not monitor it. Like why this farmer started using only a part of it. Suppose that I'm taking your criteria that they are using only small part of it for organic and the rest of it they are using, but we do not monitor. There is a less of accountability that is on the part of initiation of any project, whether it is governmental, whether it is state level, whether it is a corporate. I do not agree to all those things. One
Sorry,
thing that,
Kanchan, I think I'm going on interrupting you, but then I have a submission. One thing
yes,
is the ecology, whatever we are speaking, like Vinod is telling, Naveen is telling, and Zunaid, all of us, when summer comes, all difficulty we face is that we need to run our ACs more. But for a farmer, it is not like that.
not, yes,
He is reducing his productivity. His whole productivity is lost. He is losing one whole crop, and then he is totally dependent on it. The equity of what we are facing and what a farmer is facing is totally different.
yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying. we are,
exactly.
we are
So when
losing out on
when
accountability.
we are losing the whole scenario, the farmers, when you see the migrant farmers, why do we see people migrating from Chhattisgarh? Because of climate change. But do
Yes.
we address this? Are we able to address this? We are addressing only electric cars, electric buses. We are trying to go to corporate world, try to reduce, go on a cycle, all these things. Who's facing the actual brunt? The people down below are facing the actual brunt.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am sorry. I know. I'm just interrupting
Meghna,
you.
this
Doctor,
is what
you brought my emotional topic out, so I'm
Meghna,
full
this
marks
is
for
what
you
I
on
was
that.
telling, that
Unfortunately,
when we make a
unfortunately, the
project,
impact is being borne by the people who are not creating it.
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly. It is totally
Those 60% people living
all
outside these
individuals. Yes.
cities, they are getting the brunt of it.
yeah, but then it
So
is our duty to when we propose a plan of action. That's what I wanted to tell you, Menka. I'm not saying something different. I think you did not get my part. I wanted to say that when we are initiating any project, whether it is a governmental project, we have to see the people factor for whom you are doing it. You know what happens, because if they don't have income, suppose that there is no rainfall, okay, so how do you incorporate that part of it in the plan of action? If there's no rainfall, there's a change in the climate, okay, this part, there's desertification in this part of the, so you cannot initiate the project that you have planned just because you have planned it out. So you have to categorize it, you have to model it according to that environment, according to that place. So that special way of thinking, that pattern that is happening, suppose that you're talking about Chhattisgarh, there might be places where there is less of rainfall, there are farmers with very small holdings, there are farmers with very big holdings. So how they can have an asset, no, a business that is actually an asset also for them, and they can grow out of it, And that particular type of help and support that is required, a hand holding that is supposed to be required till they have that part of income to them, and they don't have to use, even if you are introducing organic, they still have to use the fertilizers. So a plan of action or a model should be there on which we can act upon, and this becomes a very important what do you say, we are accountable for that. So we sometimes we think, oh, this is not our department, why should we interrupt into it? But it becomes very necessary. That's why this platform is there, to build up the awareness. If you see something wrong, if you find something that is not working, so you are there to speak it out. So this is a platform for that. Okay, I have few questions for everyone, and you can just pitch in. Do you think that this higher level of consumption uh, is a greater risk for well-being? Higher rate of consumption level, like we go on consuming lots and lots, as Vinod had spoken about it. We do not end to it. That satable thing is not there. Okay, this is enough. We don't have the word called enough. So do you think this is a risk for the well-being, human well-being?
Kanjan, I will add one extension of this question. When you talk about consumption, it's not only with food, it could be anything. Even if it's a petrol consumption,
yes.
it's a mineral
Anything.
consumption, anything. Yeah.
Anything.
I personally feel it is a total, mental change of seeing what things are. When you feel that this is enough, I am happy, your happiness quotient is enough in this, you attain your, your satiability within this, and that I think will come under an umbrella where you'll teach your community and the people around you what actually is important, whether it is showing off. I have personally felt that just to show off that I have this, and I have that, thing has to change. And to bring that change is something really a huge, a huge step forward. I don't know actually how to go about that. If any one of you can tell me if we can bring something like that where people
This is Vijay.
themselves.
I
Yes,
can
please.
just add my 2 cents. So completely appreciate, I understand the laws of universe and the karmic spiritual angle that this discussion can go into. But unfortunately, I'm wired by DNA in a very, very profit hungry corporate, right? So I'm not designed to think that way. But I do acknowledge, and I think that is the right solution. But I also think that we are in an ecosystem where that's just not possible. We are probably um, in a spiral where one thing leads to the other, and to be coming out of it would need a very, very major catastrophe in the environment to be able to something like a pandemic, right? I hope it doesn't. We all hope that it doesn't go any beyond where it is today, and we should all be able to contain it fairly quickly. And the reason why we want to contain it quickly um, is even though we know that if it does have an adverse impact on population and consumerism, which we have seen in the economy, we still want the economy to come back because all of us have stakes, very high stakes, and all of us are thinking very selfishly for our next generation, which the vision is very different. So we are caught up into that. My summary of the ways to tackle this is through building resilience, through building knowledge base, through building an adaptable mindset where we are quick to respond to change, where we understand what's right or wrong, and we build the skills through resilience to cope up with the pressures of a new environment. And as soon as we have that educational understanding, we can all make that unitized level of contribution to support the cause. And that does start at a cellular level. And therefore, adaptation is probably the key.
Yeah, I also, totally agree to your point of view, where adaptation and then mitigation comes in. Adaptation, like, developing actually a heat action plan. to protect the vulnerable population groups. I don't know, I keep telling about the vulnerable population because I am not a corporate person. Groups during heat waves, and recycling water, reducing its use, building climate resilient healthcare facilities, building climate resilient agriculture. All these, adaptations will actually mitigate. We can, when we speak about mitigation, we can speak about promoting the use of active and public transportation, limiting the use of, harmful fossil fuels, and then adopting clean and, cook stoves to reduce air population. All this we can think of the mitigation. But then when it comes to adaptation, we always think about a promotion of agricultural practices that are climate resilient, and develop an early warning system, such as for malaria or some any other zoonosis which we come across these days, and then introduce a system to harvest rainwater, or adopt clean, clean energy, or whatever projects we come across. All that, I think adaptation actually works well in them.
And during this process, I think so, we have to actually understand this process of just transition. You cannot just go to that place in a way. So equity, just transition, resilience, adaptation, all these things becomes very important to move on when you are addressing actually climate crisis. Yes, Zunaid?
Yeah,
You
I
want
just
to?
wanted to add the thought where we have come from and why we wanted the input from the all our guests in this. I will give you just 2 minute introduction to the program which we are planning to do, and this is learning from the pandemic. It's everybody has learned a lot during the pandemic about the usage and the lifestyle, everything. We've realized one thing, that the biggest problem which we have created by using the maximum during our last, especially 50 years, is we have disbalanced the entire ecology. And it's humanly impossible for any of us to be able to rebuild it unless we take a very strict action. And thanks to pandemic, we saw that action when we saw the lockdown. During the lockdown, we saw the beautiful difference in our climate. It became like, wow, this is the
Yes,
livable climate
yes,
which we want to be in. And our biggest problem was how we can retain it. We've got it by the grace of God, or we can say by the grace of China, whatever it is. But today we have got it, and how we can retain it. So that when we thought about that, I think what we can do, how do we retain this situation? I took an initiative and I started writing to every possible prime minister, presidents across the world, that we must do 11 days of lockdown willingly, without any force. We should come to a term that we have to do 11 days of lockdown every year between 1st May to 11th May. And we give a break to the entire planetary system. Planetary system would be wrong word. To entire planet, we should all take a rest and then pause and play. The pause and play. Even your computer needs a restart. If we have to do something really productive and impactful, then the only way to do is, let's do a break. The biggest question everybody come across, oh, how will we pay salaries for those 11 days? Who will pay? Who will take care of it? Everything can be sorted out. If the corporate decides every third Saturday is a working Saturday for 11 months, the 12th month you can give those 11 days back to your employees, because they've already worked. Instead of Saturday, Sunday holiday, the third Saturday becomes a working Saturday, and all can be paid off. There are a lot of new initiative which government can come up, where they can take care of the working class who are like depending on this daily wages. During the lockdown also, twice people have lived their life. So it's not things can't be survived. Now it can be planned. Earlier it wasn't planned. And the thing is, it's not about India anymore. We are talking about the world. And what happens beyond our 11 days? We're also talking about initiatives like Eartherian. Eartherian is very important thought, that we need to acknowledge things around us. We go out on the street, we see plants, we see trees, but we don't even know what those plants and tree does for it and what's their names. We have a lot of insects around us. We don't even know what insect is doing in my life. Now we need to come to the term, that very basic, that we need to acknowledge there is a lizard which is walking on my wall. What the lizard is doing in my life, and why is there? It has a role to play. Now I am thinking, if we need to understand the ecology, if we need to think what we are gifted with, and we have to also respect their space in our life. That's why the Eartherian word is for everything which is living on the planet. You as a human does not have right on everything. The others also have the rights, and we have to talk about all their rights, acknowledge them, and use them whenever they need it. Don't kill them. I'm saying nobody kills unless it's a problem, but still, because we don't know, we don't care. It's about time for us to know. So this was the basic premise of our idea, and maybe within that premise, if you have think no, it's a bullshit idea, I'm open to hear that. If you say no, it's a great idea and we can add certain things, I'm open to that also. That's the reason I wanted to open this forum to you. That what you think of an initiative like this and how it can help not only India. Now we have to think global for everything. Open to you guys.
Yeah,
I
I think, Zunaid, to me, it's all about managing change, living with the change, embracing change, and wherever the change is adverse, uh, of course, we need to remain proactive. But if you can't remain proactive, at least be the first one to react, be at the frontier of the change, and that needs a very different mindset.
So when you say when we are trying to come with a new lifestyle, so this 11 days, in my opinion, becomes a holiday and it becomes a festive time. The festival without any religion, the festival without any so boundary. It is for everybody. It's for entire nature. It is the festival even for the animals, because they will get to get better breathing air for them, because there will be no traffic, there will be no construction, there will be no factories, as many can be shut. We're talking about shutting everything the way it was locked down. Only thing is you can come out. You don't need to be locked inside your home. We can come out, we can maybe bicycle, we can walk, we can go battery cars, we can do whatever we want, but we don't need to travel by air. We don't need to, can't use the cars. We cannot do the construction work. All those has to go for a pause for 11 days every year. It's a pause and play. It's not easy task, I know, but lockdown has taught us that it's possible, it's not impossible. And we can see that we have all seen the impact also. We all have seen the result.
Actually,
Huh?
and welcome. I personally would welcome, because I have gone when there was lockdown. I had gone around, with my. I just want to mention, with my husband, I had just gone around, looking for people who were helpless on the road, but the environment was clean.
And that's
Breathing
possible.
air. Yes, it is possible. And the 11 days, I think we have to come up with a plan for this. And if we can make this happen, it will be a very great initiative.
It's not me alone. We all have to push.
Yes, yes, of course.
we all we all have the flag barrier from now on. It's about idea. We have to push, and we have to push the entire world to do that. That's a basic idea. Naveen, because you come from a corporate background, I'm sure you will have something else to say. I would like to hear some bashing.
I was thinking, and this is a week when uh, I don't know whether Kantan mentioned this. I'm actually based in Hong Kong, part of the Greater China region, and this is the week when everything in Greater China region is actually shut down for 10 days. I know there are a lot of critiques of China when it comes to pollution and perhaps even microbiology perspective. But this is something which is actually part of the tradition, the entire industry. And in fact, it is called the greatest human migration that takes place every year in the month of January, February, when more than 1 billion people are actually moving across countries, going to their villages, or from villages, smaller cities to the larger cities. It's the biggest migration that takes place. 10 days, you can't even put a nail into the wall. It's such a hard stock. And from a productivity perspective, we know that this region is very peculiar when it comes to productivity and measuring productivity. They, in fact, compensate for these 10 days in the very next couple of weeks by working through their weekends. They don't have any holidays. There are no public holidays and no weekends, just to compensate for that. So, to a great extent, that is kind of built into some of our cultures, not the new economies, but this is the culture which has been there for thousands of years. And why is it that we can't scale that? Certainly we can.
Speaking of cultures, I think when we actually go into our traditional cultures, we were much far ahead when we were connected to the ecology and environment.
So we have got an opportunity
Yes.
now to go back and go back. We are trying to now incorporate the tribal knowledge and tribal learning. Now we are trying to get back to that same, and let's make use of this opportunity to go back and then start from a new, because we have already changed lots of things with green revolution. Everything changed because yes, we had at that point of time we had several things to fight back. We had the population level, poverty level, and even now our condition after the scars are still there of the pandemic. So we have to think about that and move on, and that just transition need to be worked upon. I feel so, because this is not a fast process. You just cannot model out something and you can move on. And human wellness, I think it is quite a big field. It is not just related to food or nutrition. It is related to your whole body, from the brain till the toe, I think so. So you have to work on all these lines. And besides that, again, then even the society, the societal culture, everything are in cohesion. So you have to work on these also. Like, you have to talk about the community also, you have to talk about the tribes also. Like, you cannot shift to anything, because all this together talks about human wellness. Because
So
if the
adding, sorry.
yes, please,
Go ahead.
Vinod, please.
So adding my bit to this 11 days plan, it is definitely a very good plan as far as giving respite to the planet for few days. So I would consider it as a patchwork for some days. So for example, if we say, okay, the problem is we are having too many accidents on the road. So for a week, let's stop, any car. So let's not move outside so we don't have any accidents. Yes, it will help us because it will save a lot of lives.
Yes.
But then is it addressing the root cause? No. Because from the 12th day onwards, people will behave the same way. They will reach to the same consumerism level. They will create pollution. So while we do this, which is also required, so it's like a maintenance window which is needed for every technology, every system, which is a must. But at the same time, while the function is on, it has to function in the best way, and that is what we have to drive. And I think, as far as I can think of, it cannot come unless until we bring that behavior change in every being of it, whether it is a individual human being or a corporate or a company running any factory or anything. So and I think to some extent it has already started. The ESG scores now are being associated to each and every company. Zunaid, if you know, environment, social governance, now any company who is investing in a new company, they look at the score of that company, that to rate it. So it is a welcome step which the whole planet is doing towards Mother Earth. So that should continue, but we also need to work at grassroots level to to bring back that consciousness which typically Indian culture had it, and to some extent we still have it in some village level. So bring back that whole knowledge where we considered everything, the trees as our gods, or thinking that all creatures are
You said it.
Still do consider.
Vinod, you said it because I'm also worried about the 354 days apart from those 11 days. So I told you that we have multiple other programs, which has the follow-up programs, which is going to be very region specific. Let's say if there is a problem in Karnataka, the elephants are coming on the roads or maybe in the villages. What is the root cause of that? We have to work on that particular root cause.
Exactly.
If you go to Rajasthan and if there's some problem, so we have to be very geographically design programs which we're doing only for specific areas, which will be 365-day program. And we're going to push government also, because everything you cannot do as an organization. We are creating the white paper for everybody to follow a certain kind of rules. So that's going to happen for sure.
Absolutely.
India needs a little different treatment, because I'm bringing our basic cultural value system where we are always worshipping nature, as you rightly brought it here.
Yeah.
In India, you have to sell it differently. In Western world, you'll have to sell it differently.
Exactly.
In India, have to sell the cultural
exactly.
कि बॉस हम वन देवता की पूजा करते हैं, हमने वन देवता की पूजा बचपन से कर रखी, हम पहाड़ों की पूजा करते हैं, हम नदियों की पूजा करते हैं, So there is a reason to it. It was a scientific reason, but we never sold it scientifically. We always sold it with the religion. Now it needs balancing. Okay, boss, it's a science and religion mix. Let's adapt it as a part of your life, and this will change. Yes, it's a task. When I said 25 years plan, so I was very sure. I know it in our lifetime we might not see that the whole change, but we'll have to initiate something which people can follow behind.
Yeah,
So that's the
and
basic.
let me share my personal experience. So I come from a farmer's family. So I belong to Rajasthan.
Okay.
And my parental side or my grandparents, they were farmers. So it's just 2 generations ago, they were farmers, and some of them are still in farms. And as you rightly said, since my family moved out and you studied science, maths, and those things, and whatever we had it on in our culture to value the ecology, that factor somehow got missed out when we got ourselves educated. So that is a big miss which I would like to highlight, that in our education system it has to be very strongly imbibed whatever we had earlier in the education system, because in the today's world, when we call ourselves educated, means that in the house, in the village, I was drinking from a clay pot, but when I move to city, I have to have that plastic bottle Bisleri in my hand to show that I'm educated.
Yeah, but we are,
Yes.
but now we are moving again towards the same fact.
Yes,
Now we buy pottery. We are trying to cook in those sort of things. So it's like we are going back, and it's for good, I hope. And,
yes.
Okay. By the way, I must add one more thing. The potteries are very bad for environment. If you guys know that, the once you create this pot from the clay, they don't get mixed with the climate. Even if you see thousands of years old potteries, will still be seen when you see the khudai jab hoti hai Harappa mein bhi, to you'll see 5,000-year-old potteries even today. So it's basically bad for climate. तो पॉटरी का भी इस्तेमाल जब हम करेंगे तो हमको बहुत अलग तरीके से सोचना पड़ेगा उसके बारे में. We don't think, because वो मिट्टी का बना हुआ है, तो we don't think like that. But when you see the scientifically, it's not good. That's also very bad.
It's true.
We use it so much that we don't waste it.
That's true. So, Zunaid, actually, personally, I feel the 11 days is not going to be a very hard task, because we already have been accustomed to this for the past 2 years.
Kind of, yes.
Yes. And it was basically out of fear, but then when it is coming voluntarily, this will be a very good initiative.
Yeah, but it can come voluntarily. But one more thing is there. We need the cooperation of the government. And we need, because
without that, it will not happen.
All of this has to come together, and that's why this
without government and corporate, it will not happen.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But first, citizens has to come to that term. The citizens has to come to that term.
The citizens can put a pressure on the government, because you cannot stop the railways, you can't stop the industries and fisheries and everything. So we all have to come together to put a pressure on them so that this can work out, and it will be helpful for the ecology. That's it.
The mental health, the 11 days peaceful without any work. You're actually not working, because the entire world is not working. You're not worried, oh, my Delhi office is working, Bombay office is not working, or my New York office is working. So you're not left out. The biggest problem, people go through the stress that I'm left out if I'm not working today, if I'll take holiday. No, I can't take. But the whole world is not working, man. You have no option but to take holiday. So slowly, you also put less stress on your mind.
Today, these are perspectives, and I really value them. But again, I think I'll re-emphasize something which I touched upon. To me, stress is not a factor, and so peace alone is not a stress buster. The modern day stress is about meeting expectations. It's about keeping in lockstep and keeping in pace with your environment. And most people who are stressed are because they are falling out of that lockstep. They're not keeping the pace. They're falling behind. And the reason why they're falling behind is because they don't have the necessary skills. Skills could be functional. Skills could be cognitive, right? Human skills. And that resilience can only be built in if you are continuously adapting, learning, acquiring new skills, and therefore building that resilience. To me, that's the stress factor that needs to be addressed. Peace alone probably that's one aspect of it. I don't.
It's one aspect to it. It's one aspect to
But
it.
just wanted to bring that to light, because to me, I think skills and adapting and learning and being at the frontier of the learning path is still extremely important.
So when you said skills, are you talking about only in Indian context, or are you talking about generally world global context?
No, a bulk of the skills are cognitive. They're the soft skills that we're talking about. The ability to understand the change, the ability to perceive what's happening, the ability to problem solve, the ability to keep your sanity, the ability to break down your problems into pieces and therefore tackling them. Some of those tackling methodologies could need functional skills. You probably need to go in and learn, go for higher education, acquire an academic degree, learn computers, programming, or whatever. That's the worldly skills. But in order to attain those skills also, you need that mental balance to be able to understand, to be able to appreciate the fact, to understand what are the shortcomings, what is building that stress. And to me, that's the unitized level of trying to understand
would
mental
it
health.
actually, I just want to know, will it actually be helpful if we have one day of, mindful thinking or mindful walking or something like that for these 11 days? You don't have to actually give any classes online, but just give some sort of a thing to think for that day. Would it be
multiple tasks. Multiple tasks for
my
again very
observation
geographical
is,
design, very localized task. So if
but then
you're in
give
the Kashmir,
the reason I tend to disagree with that is because in a piece actually creates more thoughts. If you think that peace and tranquility, the way that again, if you go into the spiritual element, then obviously I'm not an expert. I'll shy away from any comments. But in reality, the peace actually creates more conundrum in your mind, more anxiety, more time for you to be thinking about stuff which is probably irrelevant. And so to me, peace needs to be channelized in a manner so that you can give it some shape. Peace where you are doing nothing and staying in a trance or in a dolce vita state. To me, that peace
Naveen,
is probably not something I can visualize in a moment.
no, Naveen,
Naveen,
no. It will not be like that.
What
It will
we
not
see
be like that.
doing nothing is not possible.
Naveen, I would like to interrupt. Actually, this 11 days is not just you are sitting down and you are at peace. You're not doing anything. It is nothing of that sort. You can find out your own ways in which you are comfortable. You don't have to be just because you want peace, you're taking at 11 days of off. But yes, for mental peace, what is the one thing that you can do? Maybe you go out with your children and just have a nice uh, yeah,
Holiday.
outing or something of that
There's a
sort.
holiday. In the
Yeah, but
villages, you're spending more time with
that in
the touching
tandem
the
with
soil.
nature.
Touching
Do
the
you
soil
see
is
that
also
in nature?
experience.
Do you see the animals taking off for 10 days? Do you see the planet taking off? Do you see the universe taking a break? I still find it a little more artificial. And I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just trying to see whether
I
that
love
is
criticism.
to
Naveen,
solve.
please say something. That will change. That will help us to develop the program. That will help us to
So I
develop
think
the
we're all
program.
in unison. The good thing is all of us are talking different language because we come from different diverse
Backgrounds, yeah.
backgrounds and experiences. So we are in unison when it comes to articulating the problem. I think the moment you get into a solutioning stage, that's where the ideas will probably differ. And I'm just throwing something that's on my mind. I still think that uh, you have to remain in lockstep. You have to understand what the world wants from you. You have to build capabilities that will come through education, that will come through mental agility, and to enhance the resilience. There could be many ways to do that. Perhaps you should sit down in a quiet little temple and derive your energy um, from the source that you have faith in, or perhaps you play music because that inspires you and you can get that energy and thrive again. It could be anything, but the ability to understand that you cannot be left behind. Nobody should be left behind. And the more we try to create this dichotomous organizations and societies, the more this problem will widen. if you want to reduce the gap, the only way forward is for everyone to stay at the helm of affairs and change as rapidly as possible. I mean, look at this example. We are all in a virtual forum. A couple of years ago, I would be extremely uncomfortable. All of us would be. Or
Yeah,
teachers,
for sure.
who are now taking classes, managing hundreds of students. And some of these teachers are 60 years old, and they have learned and adapted. Those who could not adapt, they are stressed, they are out of jobs, they have given up. Those who had the resilience and the mental agility continue. Even at the age of 60, they learned, how to download Zoom, and they went on. So to me, that power of human side, and that's what as a species differs, creates the differentiation between humans and any other animal, because we understand what's happening, we process it, we quickly adapt, we change our ways. Not everybody can, and those who can't are the ones who are suffering from mental health.
But
And it's
Naveen,
our duty to go and help them and pull them back.
since we are a gifted species, it's our responsibility also to take care of other species on this planet. That's where I was coming from, that we are gifted species. We can do a lot of things. We can adapt. Maybe we can talk. We can use the machines. The other species who live with us, without them also our life is not going to happen. If they're not there, we will not have a life for ourselves. So
And
it's
they were
very
here
important for us to at least acknowledge their role in our life and their existence in our life, and we should
So
also work towards it. That's the main crux of the whole thing when we're talking about ecological balance. So I'm not saying that we should stop living, because that's we are human are anyways very selfish animal. They are going to make do of everything the way they want. But at the same time, now it's our time to start taking care of others who are there part of this earth. That is our main key agenda behind this.
So, Junaid, one idea I got it while you said that. So,
Yeah,
rather
please,
than
please.
calling it 11 days off, what if we call it those 11 days specifically, where we are some innovative word which motivates people that this is the time, during this time we will only work for rejuvenating myself, mother
Yes, yes,
nature,
yes.
other animals. So it's rejuvenation of the whole planet, and all the activities will be aligned towards that. So we are not saying you sit at home. So for example,
Correct.
if
Yeah.
a teacher is teaching, so
Yeah.
on that day teacher will not teach in a AC room. The teacher, if the students are happy playing, studying under a tree, do that. That's fine. If you that day you want to take the whole class to take care of some animals, you do that. But the whole activity in that organization, so let that company run, even if it is a technology company, but that day the whole focus of the company, the way they celebrate New Year, Christmas,
Yeah,
they have a lot of parties, lot of
I told you,
celebration.
we have to
Vinod,
create celebration. For
yes.
us also, we
Yeah,
have to create
yeah,
celebration. It's
yeah.
not sad time. It's a happy time. This
Vinod,
holiday is happy time, and you're not worried about your money because it's been taken care of. It's been planned well. You're not worried about your ration because this holiday is coming. So you've done all the planning. So you're not deprived with everything.
Because
You're
as
only
Naveen
deprived
said,
with
the
your
moment we
transportation.
say lockdown, people get
I know,
into
we have to
stress.
see the word lockdown
I'd
is
like
to
to
give you
interrupt.
a perspective. The word
Vinod, I'd like
lockdown is to give you perspective. That's
you
why
see,
it's a healing. It's 11 days for Earth's
I,
healing. We saying we never saying it's 11 days of lockdown. It's 11 days for Earth's healing, and this name is also for first 7 years. After 7 years, it will go through a name change and will become a one green festival. It will convert
Junaid,
into a green festival. Yeah,
there's a popular saying that when you have a hammer,
yeah.
every problem looks like a nail.
I
So
know.
my hammer, like my hammer, is learning, development, coaching, and so that's where I see a lot of solutions coming through, and perhaps the spiritual way of living would be Vinodji's solution. You've got a product in mind, you have it figured it out, and you're probably trying to shoehorn everything. And I'm not saying that's the wrong idea, but all I'm saying is that these are all different paths, and we can probably
yes.
in unison work towards a variety of pathways to solve the same problem.
But Naveen, this was the
Sure.
idea. The idea behind this platform is to bring in all the perspective. So we are hearing you, we heard Menaka, we heard Vinod, and so we build it on the basis of this perspectives, what everybody is having, this can go ahead, And as Vinod, I just wanted to answer you when you talked about children. So we have several projects for these people. Like there's for children, we have initiated this green yard movement, which actually starts for the children. So it will be carried on all over the year. It is just not those 11 days, that is, but for 11 days, yes, individually also you can plan. You can plan out a cycling trip. It's not a thing, but yes, for the rest of the year, there are several programs like ecological restoration. There has been breathing corridors and all those things which are planned, which has to be worked on the specific areas. Suppose that there's desertification in a particular area, so a different plan of action is there for those that part.
In
But
fact,
yes,
at present, sorry, Kanchan. In fact, at present, there are so many schools which are coming forward for all these green
yes,
initiatives, and they want to go ahead with it. And please contact me if you want any contact with schools. I
okay,
will give you. I will.
okay,
I will just get you
I
connected
would
with them.
request you all to be the flag barrier of this thought. Wherever you can come across and
Sure,
wherever
sure.
you can give a little
It's
contribution.
beautiful. It's beautiful. So one last
Oh,
point from my side
sure, Vinod, sure,
regarding
please.
this idea. I'm sure you must have already planned. So typically, so this I have learned from corporate. Whenever you have to sell any idea or any project, what we need to take out is that what is in for me. That is what I have to tell the person or the company. What is in for me? For if we talk about this 11 days, we have to talk about what is in for me as an individual human being, what is in for
Yeah.
me for the schools, what is in for me for the manufacturers, pharma industry, or all different aspects. The moment we have that, I think all these activities can be aligned according to their area, so that they also
So
feel,
Vinod,
I'm getting benefited out of it.
the moment I said festival time, so it's technically festival time. The festivals are designed for the businesses to grow, but this time we have to be conscious that this is going to be like tourism industry. Tourism industry has to think of ecotourism, and their plan has to come around that. So if somebody is taking the leave and they may be living in any place in the tourist spot for those 11 days, but this is responsibility now of the tourist companies that they cannot do anything which is not environment friendly. Those activities or whatever they do, it has to be environment friendly thing. So or maybe all the hotels has to have now bicycle. So the tourist has to take a round only on bicycle. They can't have cars. It's as simple as that. I'm just giving you a very simple example. Same time whenever there's a people are doing any businesses, so I'm not asking the business to be shut. The restaurants let it be open. The bars and all this, let it be open. But people have to go maybe walking or maybe go by bicycle.
Zunaid,
So automatic.
this comes actually from the government. It should come from top down, because I personally know when on 30th of January, when you say it is a dry day, it is a dry day, because nobody else can, come and fight that. So if we can actually bring that perspective into this, bring some government, action into this, it will be more of, we can act more on this.
Make
I
it
want
part
to
of
go more
annual
Western,
holiday calendar.
little more
Make
Western
it
on this
part.
perspective, because the moment you will tell people don't drink, they're gonna drink. If you
No,
tell the people
no.
to do this,
That
you rather
government,
create a situation where everybody is looking forward for this. So
yes.
because I come from advertising business, so for me it's first thing that what I'm going to show people, which is going to attract, because I'm looking forward for it instead of seeing it as a looking at, oh my God, there's a holiday time. What will I do? Oh my God, how will I make money? No. First, I'll have to take care of everybody. Then you come with a plan. So as I said, we've started sending this letter last year. We have got 50 some responses were not there because everybody still is in mind mentally. They are all stuck with the lockdown time. So I was not expecting any action immediately. It will take 3, 4, 5 years to build. Once we'll be able to build it, we will have to now create the business around it for everybody. If there is no business, it is not non-starter. It has to create a business for everybody.
Innovation has come far ahead. Like the first lockdown was mentally depressing, but then now we have grown a lot.
It became normal for us. It became normal
It's
for
become
us.
very normal.
So and I would also request now, since you've heard about this for the first time, when you go back and you think about it after 10 days or week, when you want to revisit and you write some thoughts, you can please share your thoughts, your ideas, or anything which you want us to maybe incorporate in our plans. Because see, right now it's not possible for the whole world we can do alone. We need thousands and thousands of people who are working and who can give us the ideas. We would be welcome to have some suggestions from you. Even criticism, please. We love criticism, because that helps us grow. That helps us do better. So I'm open for the criticism, and a very hard criticism. Naveen, you can also write if you don't want to see this on camera. You can please write it and send it to us. I will love it. I will love it. Kanchan, over to you if you want to
Yes.
close the
Okay,
session, because it's already 1 hour 20 minutes.
I think we have moved on from the schedule, but it was a nice talk. Thank you all for thank you so much for having us, and we for having you all and your perspectives, for sharing your perspectives and enhancing all our wellness. Okay, so this 1 hour we enhanced our wellness, I think so, by exchanging words and exchanging the experiences. And you are welcome, all of you, to give in your feedbacks. And you can also follow us also on Twitter and Facebook also.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we are everywhere. Please
So
follow us. Please share our thoughts, because we keep posting every day something there also. And more than that, be the flag bearer, because you guys have a little bit of a power to say things. Please share it with others. If you want to make some individual video and messages, please send us those videos. We will publish it on our forum, because if we have millions of followers, we can at least share your point of view also. Because see, this long conversation, everybody is not going to hear. I know that fact. We'll have to edit certain part from this and send it separately. But you as an individual also, if you come with some thought, you want to record, please record and send it to us. We need your suggestions and your support in all this.
Sure.
okay, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
See you.
everyone.
you.
Thank you
Wonderful
so very
listening
much.
to you.
Great knowing
Wonderful
you all.
listening to
Take
you.
care. Bye.
And all the best for this new idea.